dear viewers and listeners, it is always a pleasure interacting with you, and I'm hoping that you have enjoyed the posts that we have done before, and even more that you will enjoy the topic that we have at hand. I'm Dr. Duncan Elliot Tembo, and I will be talking to you on a subject that is titled, Do Not Despise What You Have. Do not despise what you have. I'm very passionate about this topic, and I'm hoping that it will help you, it will help somebody, because it has always lived to help me. And maybe just to give a bit of background. You see, there are many people, and many times, when we people have felt that, we don't have what it takes to become what we are destined to become. And against that background, we spend a lot of time looking at what we don't have, and in the process, we fail to recognize what we have. We fail to recognize how what we have can actually give us what we don't have. As I go through this topic, I would want to refer to, one of the scriptures in Exodus chapter 4, verse 2. If you read that verse, there is a very good conversation going on between God and Moses. God is about to send Moses, but then Moses is engaging God and is trying to give God every reason why he should not send him. And he says, look, they will not listen from me. I'm not a good speaker. I don't think I have what it takes. And then after that conversation, God asks him, what do you have in your hands? In response, Moses says, just a staff. And then God tells him, put it down, or throw it down. And when it was thrown down, it became a snake. And even the person that threw that staff down had to run away from it until God said, pick it up from the tail. When he picked it up, it became staff again. There is very important learning from that lesson, which actually has been replicated in a number of, verses in the Bible. So if you look at that, as far as Moses was concerned, that was just a shepherd rod. That's it. That's why even when they asked him, even he himself did not believe that anything could come out of that. And you will realize that God has got a habit of using what a person has. If you read Kings, you'll find another interesting story of Elijah and Elisha. Elijah has been taken, Elisha has remained, and we hear that as Elijah was going, the coat that he was putting on remained. And that's all that Elisha had. And using what he had, he struck the river, and the river was separated. We also read about the story of David, who had a sling and a stone. Again, using what he had, he accomplished greater things. I mean, under normal circumstances, you could not imagine that, that sling and a stone could bring down a giant like Goliath. In fact, Goliath was, very well trained. He had put on, that full armor, even when he was marching towards David, So it was just unimaginable that a sling and a stone could actually, bring down the giant. That's why even when he approached him, he said, "Why do you come to me, like I'm a bird, like I'm an animal or something?" But from all this, you will notice that actually God begins with what we have. There's many more. You will read also about the story of Elijah and the interaction that she had with that widow. And when he said, "What do you have?" he said, "I only have little flour that is remaining, so that, after making bread for ourselves, we can have the last meal and be ready to die." If you look at the multiplication, it happened from what was there. And obviously, this will tell you something. That what we have makes a very good starting point. Every person has got something. And in this case, when we say, what do we have? We are looking at the abilities. We are looking at the potentials. We are looking at the talents. We are looking at the skills. We are looking at the strengths. There are many times that we people have failed to recognize our strengths. We actually fail to operate in our strengths because we have not recognized our strengths. Sometimes we have even talked ourselves out of our destiny because, like Moses, we think that we don't have what it takes. But I came to challenge somebody today. I mean, I don't care where you are standing. I don't care when you think you could have done what you were supposed to do. But I came to encourage you that you can actually start today. I am convinced that you have everything that it takes to continue pursuing that idea, to continue pursuing that career, and still become that great person in your lifetime. You know, there's a nice story that is told of this young lady. She loved to sing, but I think she never felt that, anything could come out of singing. So at one time, there was a singing concert where, promoters and sponsors had come to attend. She also went to attend, and she went there as an usher. And ushers sit on the gate, or is it on the door? So she was doing her job diligently, ushering people inside, because she thought she did not have what it takes. So after those people sang, they finished singing, the person who was controlling the program asked and said, "Is there anyone who would want to sing a solo?" And then she was standing on the door, in the direct front of where the MC and other people were seated. And according to her, she did not raise her hand. I think she was only doing that to usher people in. But in front, they saw a hand and they said, "Come, come, 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 come." She stepped forward and then they said, "You can sing." She sang a short song, but promise you that song touched everybody. And everybody was just like, wow. From there, the sponsors, the promoters said, "Look, we will support you." And that changed the life of that lady. Today, as we speak, she's one of the great musicians who has produced a number of albums. She's made money out of it. But when you see where she's coming from, she was in a position where she felt, well, she did not have what it takes, to become what she wanted to be. There are even people who felt like, look, I didn't manage to finish school. I didn't get good results, and because of that, they feel they don't have what it takes. I want you to think again. You can start now. You can restart now. You can reposition yourself now and work with what you have. There is a lot that you have, that can actually bring you what you don't have. Like I said, a lot of time we look at, I don't have that, I don't have that, I don't have that. Sometimes we say, look, I don't have money, I don't have equipment, I don't have people to do this for me. But you fail to recognize what you have. You have got the talent. You have got the time. All those are key resources which, when used properly, would actually bring you what you want to have. I know that sometimes we have failed to use time properly. The other time I asked a young man and said, when do you go to bed? And he told me he goes to bed at 22 and wakes up at 06. From that, if you do your mathematics properly, he sleeps for 8 hours. If you are just sleeping 8 hours every day faithfully, 8 hours is 1/3 of the day. The time that you'll be 60, 1/3 of 60 is 20 years. You would have spent 20 years sleeping. But let's look at how we spend time critically. When we were young, perhaps between 0 and 7 years, we were sleeping even more hours. If you take the whole lot of that into consideration, you'll find that, the portion of the years that has been spent sleeping in your 60 years will actually increase. But even more, let's look at how you spend the other time. Think about times when, after eating, you say, let me sleep a bit. Count all those hours. But even more, think about how you spend the other time. How much time do you spend, chatting with friends? How much time do you spend escorting friends? How much time do you spend in the bathroom? How much time do you spend cooking? How much time do you spend eating? How much time do you spend on Facebook, or is it on WhatsApp, or mention it? If you add all those hours, you will notice that, slightly over 45 years of your 60 years perhaps has been used, in a way that is not very productive. But that's not a way, a person that is going somewhere would be spending his time. And that's why we are saying, away from what you don't have, think about what you have. You have very important resources, that others don't have. So for instance, if someone is dead, they don't have this time. That's about it for them. But if you are still living and I'm still living, we have time. We have people to encourage us. We have books to read. All those are very powerful tools that we can start on, and they can, just be able to change our lives, usher us where we are supposed to be. So don't despise what you have. Don't look down on what you have, because starting from what you have, you can actually work your way through to get what you don't have, to get what you desire to have. I'm hoping that this will provoke you sufficiently to release that energy, to pursue your dreams, to pursue your aspirations, and hopefully that you realize them. Thank you for your time, and God bless you.